接下来我们要对战京东了嘛，然后我觉得他们的上路是一个就潜力很大的选手吧，因为之前有训练过嘛，就各方面的英雄都玩的比较擅长嘛，然后我也会努力去打的。
我马上要和 Mouse 对线了，我觉得他是一个线上非常稳健，而且也不偶尔也会很凶的选手，而且我也本身自己也很想当一个追光者。
Welcome back, everyone. We're just about ready to hop into game 2, but you just heard it from Zoom saying, hey, wouldn't it be nice to be a fan of Mouse?
Yeah, the way he put it is kind of a meme in the Chinese community. So the Champion of Light, typically it was the Chinese fans kind of bullying Mouse for him going to the All-Stars and kind of like, well, why did he go to the All-Stars? And after that, it kind of turned into, because he'd been doing so well recently, people have like taken that kind of bad name and flipped the meaning for it. So there's a little smirk there because I'm not exactly sure which side of the meme Zoom is actually referring to.
I mean, the smile that we saw at the end of that tape seemed to imply which side of the fence he's on.
Yeah.
And plus, we saw how aggressive he was on that Yorick game. So, hey, maybe game 2 can give us a little bit more insight after actually checking to see how he plays. But let's actually get into this matchup. So the pick and ban was actually pretty fascinating for game number 1. You talked a lot about banning away the Lee Sin, banning away the Jarvan, and then, RW, knowing that their jungle was being pressured, pivoted towards a Sejuani instead. Well, now they have a 1-game lead and side selection coming into this matchup. Do you think that they just sit back and try to wait for Jingdong to make mistakes again, or are they going to take a more proactive role here in game 2?
As the winner of the first game, I think you go with what has worked, and I feel like you throw the ban pick pressure over to Jingdong. The big problem from Jingdong right there is Zoom didn't really have a champion to punish there. He was triple banned, Ornn, Gnar, and Camille. He didn't really have much to play into Mouse, and I felt like the Yorick was kind of a contingency plan. I'm not sure that was something that was totally prepared. It was more reaction to seeing like Sejuani and hoping that it wouldn't be punished right there. So the big question for me is, what does Zoom take out of his champion pool now that Rogue Warriors is likely to go for the same things?
We'll have to see if Zoom can adapt coming into this next one. Still a very young player here in the LPL. He's got a lot of time, a lot of growth to show us here in this upcoming set, but the pressure is on because, like we said, it's Jingdong at 4-1 in the standings. This young team relying on their natural talent of Yagao in the mid lane to help pull them through. Well, this game, he showed off some fancy moves, but it just wasn't enough against a stoic Rogue Warriors.
And the problem with Jingdong is they make a lot of rookie team mistakes. They don't secure barons or objectives very well. We've seen Clid kind of suicide on low health and do these ultra-aggressive invades, which he really doesn't need to be doing. And it's just kind of a letdown for me because I feel like Jingdong could play so much cleaner, but on the individual level, sometimes they just fail themselves.
Have to get those mechanics nice and sharp, and perhaps Killua also trusting in his jungler to actually secure dragons in the future. Perhaps that's why he ran away from the Baron when it was stolen a little bit later on.
We talked about that play. In that instance, we're talking about the Infernal, where Killua swallowed Flawless to save his life, but it didn't matter if Flawless died there. All he needed was in the Infernal trick. So, you know, in that situation, let him smite.
all you got to do is press that smite button. Our casters are now ready to get us into game. Frosk and Fish, take it away.
Thank you very much, Dom. We're about to get into game number 2. And Indiana, going into this next match, what do you want to see changed?
So I want to see some of the draft changed up. I like the fact that JD went to target out Flawless by banning the Lee Sin, by banning the Jarvan, but the ban that I actually really disagreed with was the Kog'Maw. And I understand we're seeing a lot of high-priority Kog'Maw. We saw it the other day in the LPL. We see it a lot in the LCK. It's Smlz, but Mao plays Bard, and Mao plays Bard specifically into Kog'Maw. It's a long-time counter that the LPL likes to play. He did it twice into LGD this split, and it kind of works like this. Kog'Maw wants to sit, become stationary, and then Bard just whoop, Hail Mary into the backline, nails him with the ultimate, and denies a lot of Kog'Maw's damage, so he doesn't just get to sit and be that little Bastion turret. Now that said, that's then putting confidence on Mao and taking the fear away from Smlz, because at some point, you just have to set the trap and then spring it, and have the confidence and the backup in your player that you can make this work, that you can be better than Smlz.
So they did try to ban out Flawless's champion pool a little bit with the Lee Sin, with the Java ban taken away. However, looked alright still on the Sejuani, a new pick for him in that first match.
See, I want them to ban away Mouse's Gangplank right here. Don't do Kog'Maw. No!
Instead they go for Orianna Froskerin.
It was so close.
They decide, you know what? We couldn't keep Doinb down by keeping him on our team, so we're going to ban out his champion he played last game instead.
This always feels bad. Anytime a team has to ban Orianna, I just feel bad. Okay, here we go. Genius plan. It's not Gangplank, but
they
it
decided
works.
to take the Kog'Maw instead for Loken.
No.
He had an impressive game on Kog'Maw against RNG last week.
That said, I still feel that Loken hasn't proven himself to me yet that he is that primary hyper carry. I feel like he looks better because JD themselves all look better with this pretty efficient reboot because they are sitting very top end of the standings. Hopefully, Loken proves me wrong here. He's got the Kog'Maw, he's going to get the resources. Anytime you see that champion come out, you know it's going to be followed by a Tarik, a Tahm Kench, a Jarvan. Champions like this, a possible Galio, they're going to give him everything.
And the only team that sits above Jindong Gaming at the moment is IG, who have the head-to-head record but the same score. Rogue Warriors, with a win in this series, could propel themselves to guaranteed second place before heading into cross-conference. They'll be 4-2, so will JDG, and they'll have the head-to-head. We already see the first two champions being picked up here by Rogue Warriors. Going to be Caitlyn and Sejuani once again picked up for Flawless.
So this time around, Rogue Warriors are putting their stake on the fast push composition. They've got the Caitlyn picked up. Personally, I'm a fan of picking up the priority Janna before you grab the Caitlyn. I feel like you can play fast push not just with Caitlyn, but you can also do it with the Varus, with the Tristana champions like this. And Janna makes that a little bit easier to do, as well as her primary disengage to dissuade any team to try to find hard flanks. But a lot of teams seem to disagree, and they always want that Caitlyn priority.
However, we are going to see the Gnar being picked up for Zoom on the top side of the map, not being banned out during the second ban phase. And Kha'Zix locked in for Clid. This is the champion that was talked about on the desk. This is Clid's undefeated champion.
Yes, it is his second most played champion as well. And while I do agree that Clid is going to be a big factor, it's more so can Clid control himself. This is not Clid versus Flawless. This is Clid versus Clid and cleaning up some of that decision making. I do like the adjustment that JD have made to say, okay, Zoom, you got caught out. You got triple ban at you. This time around, you're only going to get one ban, and we're going to high prioritize someone like Gnar, which, however, leaves Mouse open for his Gangplank, and he gets it every single time. He just got man of the match. Please, for the love of God, someone ban Gangplank away from Mouse.
And then you can see Stake right there on your screen, going up to Doinb, showing him which champion to lock in firstly, and then heading straight over to Mouse and be like, you've got this, come on. Played it in the first match, got man of the match. Smlz's first ban out here is going to be Braum.
Now, the reason why Braum is such a high priority ban, we saw it banned the other time as well, but by JD when they had the fast push strategy, is because how he denies tower sieging. Of course, if he walks in front of the tower, if he throws up the door, he can put a wrench and throw and slow down everyone's plans, which is why he's become such a high priority ban. Likewise, Caitlyn is still quite fragile in lane, and you want to dissuade any sort of hard engaged champions that get on her face. Alistar could also be a takeaway here, but it kind of depends on how scared they are of Mao being that engaged threat. Especially with Tahm Kench still available, because they could just grab the Kench, they could take any support they want and still have lane priority because it's Caitlyn.
The first ban that came up from JDG, again, is going to be Karma. That's going to be banned out towards Doinb, whereas Tarik is the last ban that comes out from Rogue Warriors.
Yeah, so instead of focusing on the lane power and making things safe for Smlz there, they're focusing on the team fighting properties of JD by denying that type of support. Yes, Tarik still does have strength in the lane phase, especially in 3v3 skirmishes due to his stun, but his big shining moment is when he is initiated or is able to initiate or allow people to initiate with the team with the invulnerability, which already seeing Kha'Zix and Gnar, it's pretty simple to see how that team comp goes. You press the Tarik ultimate and Gnar and Kha'Zix just fly in there.
Well, we have the Alistar ban coming out from Jindong Gaming as well. So that's taken off the table.
Champion that has a targetable lockdown pretty much for little Kog'Maw in the back line.
Not great. Tahm Kench is being hovered here by Rogue Warriors, not opting to go for the Janna, instead going for the safer route in the lane for Smlz.
And it does offer not only the ability for Mouse to still have the same disengage that Janna could offer for Caitlyn in the 2v2, but also the fact that it helps Flawless. Clement talked about it on the analyst desk. You know, Killua was so successful on that Tahm Kench, finding out Clid and really punishing him, helping Sejuani get into those flanking positions even when she couldn't get around the vision. So I actually really like the priority of Kench over Janna for Rogue Warriors style and how they punish JD.
Meanwhile, we get a Lulu pickup, which we've seen actually played by Doinb in the mid lane, but this will be LvMao's support champion. Or it could be Yagao in the mid lane.
And I know a lot of you guys, I've talked with Raz pretty extensively about this, that they don't believe in the Lulu, but I definitely believe in the Lulu. And there's the Galio. We knew it was going to come out. It was a Kog'Maw. It was pretty much a giant red flag that this is going to be a protect the Kog'Maw composition. We're going to see the likes of Galio, some sort of protective support. This time it's Lulu. And the thing is yes, Lulu has had the Ardent Sensor nerfed. Some of her itemization has gotten weaker, but she still just offers so much to Kog'Maw through her whimsy.
We'll have to see what Doinb decides to pick up into the mid lane. Galio, and he goes for Corki. That'll be his mid lane champion of choice.
A long-term, not necessarily counter pick into Galio, but an answer because Galio's itemization doesn't work as efficiently against Corki as it could other dual AP compositions.
So lots of damage coming out from Rogue Warriors heading into this next match. Flawless back on another tank champion of Sejuani. This will be his second game on the champion, known for his carry-oriented play. But he looked alright on the champion, still looked really good. Got the Baron steal that brought Rogue Warriors back into the match.
Proving that he is not simply a one-trick anymore, but again, I accredit that a lot to Killua and helping Flawless get into position. For that early game against JD, he was pretty much at the mercy of Clid. Lost his initial red buff, lost his Krug camp, was contested on his Raptors, and had to force out a very early gank across from Yagao to get anything moving for himself, which you have a feeling that that's not going to work twice.
Jinong Gaming controlled most of the early game against Rogue Warriors, especially with the interesting Yorick pickup top side of the map, now running a Protect the Kog'Maw team composition. With some damage threats of the Gnar and Kha'Zix, but still very protect him favor.
Yeah, the nice thing about it is it's not just a 5v5 protect the Kog'Maw composition, it's a 1-4 because they do have the Gnar. Now, that said, late game Gnar versus GP isn't going to work out because GP's just going to infinitely clear, but depending on how far Gnar gets ahead and how he's able to kind of manipulate the map, force GP to respond and then walk over for a team fight. And then you also have the beautiful disengage ability from Lulu. So if they are set up in a 1-4 composition, it's still very difficult to lock down the Kog'Maw between Galio's protection and Lulu.
And we see once again Mouse picking up the Gangplank for Rogue Warriors top side map. Everyone seems to think they can keep him locked down, Frostgurn, but he always finds a way.
Let me tell you,
always finds a way.
just lock him down in bans. We have an Orianna ban. Come on.
And if you can ban out the Lee Sin, take away the Gangplank as well.
Just Jarvan, Lee Sin, GP. You're welcome, every LPL team that loses to Rogue Warriors.
Yep.
I've given you the answer.
Mouse gets his Gangplank against, we'll have to see how he does on the top side of the map. Especially now he's up against Kha'Zix and Galio, two champions that can keep him locked down in lane. And once again, almost every game kind of starts out like this now, just fanning out across the map.
I like how we finally got a camera.
We found him. That's our boy. Whereas Rogue Warriors fans have gotten a lot louder after that first match victory.
Coming out of the woodwork. We can be proud of our team. Now, of course, it's easy to be a fan of Rogue Warriors because you do have so many legacies that extend on this team. If we take a look at the Keystones, that's pretty interesting for Kog'Maw. The fact that he went for Fleet Footwork versus the Inspiration. So normally we have seen Kog'Maw go for the Unsealed Spellbook because he typically loses lane. He needs to use the teleport to control the CS, control the flow of how the lane is going, and just pretty much survive it. By going Fleet Footwork and having the Lulu, maybe he feels more confident that he can actually just 2v2 this because back at Worlds, Kog'Maw Lulu was 100% denied. You talk to any team and they said, never give away Kog'Maw Lulu. It is way too difficult to deal with on any time Kog'Maw has the W available, and he just put the shield on him, speed him up, and he can out-trade pretty much anyone. So maybe that's the thinking here, that Loken and Mao, despite the changes, despite the meta shift, still think that they can just brute force this lane.
But it's still incredibly strong. On top of that, he'll have Overheal and the Relic procs. Still hasn't had any nerfs coming in just yet, still in patch 8.1. So we'll have to see how that lane pans out. In the mid lane, however, Doinb picking up the Corki, which we haven't seen too much of. Going for the Inspiration Tree, followed by Precision.
Yeah, it's pretty much been exclusively an answer into the Galio. Galio is starting to pick up globally. I believe he was played in the EULCS as well as Korea. FLICKR's playing him a ton in solo queue, and surprise, surprise, we've now seen him trade over into the LPL. What I do find very greedy is that Corki did start the Cole, so he is very fragile, which means that if Yagao ever lands that taunt and Kha'Zix is around, Doinb will be punished for such greedy early itemization.
We'll have to see how that one pans out for him in the mid lane. For now, though, Yagao is pushing in quite heavily against the Corki. He picks up heal to kick this game off, but he will go back and probably swap that out for a teleport.
Yeah, and speaking of the heal, I hadn't even looked at Doinb summoner spells. It makes a lot more sense to pick up the coal and be super greedy with itemization when he has something like Cleanse. So he's very aware how fragile he is.
He's facing across from Minion Dematerializer picked up by Yagao. He does use the teleport to come back into lane, so already using one of those spell shards, but here they come, looking for the gank in the mid lane against Doinb. Just Valks away, and he's going to be perfectly fine.
But he's going to be very used to this, because again, he's super soft and squishy. It just takes one flash taunt, at least forcing the summoner spells. They didn't trade any spells there, but this is just going to be another rinse. Wash, rinse, and repeat.
We'll probably see him. We'll probably see him stay in lane for a little bit longer before swapping out his cleanse for a teleport and getting back into the mid lane. Bottom side of the map, Smlz and Killua are pushing in, pushing in, I should say, as mid lane again. They're just going aggressive. Yagao does get good damage, but Doinb doesn't really care.
Yep, he's just potting up, wants to sit there. Like you said, his plan is pretty clear-cut. Wants to have the coal, farm it up as much as possible, then he'll swap to his teleport. But right now, he just needs to be safe for the early lane phase.
Yeah, Yagao's just being a nuisance. Bottom side of the map, which we were trying to talk about then, Loken as well as LvMao are being pushed in by this Caitlyn Tahm Kench combo.
But it's really hard to deny Kog'Maw from a lane, or pretty much any ADC that has the fleet footwork because of the natural built-in sustain.
On top of that relic shield and all the potions that they have available. They still have a couple each, but Clid is down here in the bottom lane. Have to be careful. Killua's going to be his target. Gets good damage. That's a flash forward for LvMao. He flashes away, but it's not going to be enough. Loken picks up first blood.
Really beautiful play from Mao in particular. The fact that he flashed forward, that he got the Whimsy and denied any sort of gray health proc meant that Tahm Kench was pretty much dead in the duration that he was a cupcake.
An early pickup will relieve some pressure from this lane, however. Thanks to the current meta, look who's back. It's almost as if he didn't leave. Killua just swaps out his remaining summoner spell for teleport. He gets back into the bottom lane.
And of course, the key thing there is the fact that he's not losing any EXP. That was a pretty massive wave that was going to be crashing on the tower, and he, I think, only missed a single creep. So it pretty much minimizes the mistake that was made. You still lost both your summoner spells. You still are a viable target because you don't have the flash, but at least you're not also then down in EXP and that much squishier.
Doinb as well is going to return into mid lane. He has not opted to trade out his cleanse for a teleport. Understands that he could still be ganked by Clid. But both mid laners picking up the unsealed spellbook as well. One thing that's not really touched on about that keystone is the fact that it gives you 25% cooldown reduction on summoner spells.
Yeah, and that was one of the big things when Unsealed Spellbook came back into the meta and was unleashing champions like Malzahar and Veigar. It was the fact that you had Ghost available that much more frequently. Same thing with Vladimir. And so it made what was normally a very tough lane phase, which is why these champions were forced out of the meta, viable and possible again.
Top of that, you can dip into the Cosmic Insight to get another 5%, and then Ionian Boots if you really want for another 10%.
You're just flying around at like 148 for Ghost.
Oh, it feels so much fun.
3-minute flash.
It feels so much fun to use it on Annie. You just always have it up. Always flash tibbers everywhere. But in this match, no Annie, unfortunately. Not in the current meta. And it's still just going to be a heavy farm fest between the two teams. Haven't seen too much action. The only side we've seen the kills on have been in the bottom lane. A lot of pressure being pushed in by Gnar on the top side of the map for Zoom.
And actually the fact that we haven't seen a lot of action is credit to Doinb. Yes, there was that initial gank that tried to force the summoner spell out of him, but since then he's played it very cautiously. He's allowing himself to get pushed in, and yeah, he's against Minion Dematerializer and Galio, but he just kind of safely stands back. You can see all of the vision that Clid and Yagao have expended to put on the top side of Flawless's jungle, and it's because they're looking for little opportunities like this. If Doinb just steps just outside, he will be punished.
Both mid laners happy to trade back and forth, though. You can see in the bottom lane, Loken having a much easier time now against the Caitlyn Tahm Kench combo.
Lulu Kog'Maw is still ridiculously strong and very hard to deal with, especially when you do have the sustain from the Keystone as well as the shield to deal with. So I actually really like it. We'll see if this kind of becomes the new answer that teams take when they do see this Caitlyn strategy come out that Team WE really popularized.
Clid is still in this bottom lane, so Smlz as well as Killua have to be careful with the way they push in here. Flawless is right behind, so they could be setting a trap themselves.
I like the fact that, like you said, Flawless is setting the trap or just kind of allowing safety net for his bot lane to be pushed that far forward. They see that Clid has swept up the tri-brush, so it's pretty easy just to make the adjustment. Killua just needs to step back a little bit. I think he's being maybe a bit too aggressive. The thing is as the Tahm Kench, the support in this lane, you don't really need to poke. You've got the Caitlyn. You just need to make sure that she doesn't die. I know that a lot of teams are still looking for the Tahm Kench, but if Tahm Kench starts to disappear and this fast push composition continues to thrive in the LPL, I think we could actually see Thresh come back. Thresh does a brilliant job, you know, creating distance with the Lantern and allowing Caitlyn to still be disengaged. But see, that's what Killua wants. He wants those greedy little tongue lashes. But if the enemy jungler is there, if they didn't have the vision set up, then he's not in position to actually save anyone.
Again, that's where all the focus has been. Topside map though, Zoom going aggressive against Mouse. He needs an orange at his K for now. Zoom just getting a good trade as he goes into Mega Gnar.
Hold on though, play being set up bottom lane again. Our observers really want to see the dive, but it is not going to happen.
Not happening.
There are stopwatches available for GP, and there's no stopwatch available for Zoom. So, sorry to burst your bubble, observer, but Mouse is feeling pretty confident there.
He certainly is. Should be just fine, topside map. It's kind of how we see these Gangplank lanes go. However, Rogue Warriors are looking to try and push in for that bottom lane out of turret.
Yeah, they're also bringing Doinb. He had control of the minion wave because Yagao made his back, has the package available. There's probably not going to be a dive unless they're feeling really frisky, but they are continuing to get massive damage and start bleeding out this tower. So while Loken and Lulu are unmovable from it, they still can't stop Caitlyn crashing into their wave.
Doinb was leaving his lane, however, Yagao was able to push in quite nicely and force him back. So that dive fizzles out and they don't get the bottom lane turret just yet. It's Doinb. Hello, that's aggressive.
Had to burn it anyway. Might as well deny Clid, especially because Yagao's, you know, just taking a stroll through the top side jungle.
This will allow Flawless to pick up a small raptor camp for himself.
But this is interesting. We see this all the time. You know, why is Clid attempting to take his raptors while Yagao is warding? And I don't necessarily think that Clid is out of position. I think Yagao is out of position, especially when Corki, they knew that he was rotating there. And it's again, these little moments from JD where you can see kind of the cracks that they're still building that synergy. So here comes the tower break.
Knowing that Clid as well as Yagao on the top side of the map, Flawless waltzes down into the bottom lane. This bottom lane outer turret is going to fall.
And of course, the big flag that this was going to happen was the blue buff respawn. You can see Kha'Zix, he just passed it over to Galio, and Rogue Warriors with that experience. This is something that JD, that's a play that JD have not been able to showcase. They know that they're top side of the map, so they immediately then just shift attention and numbers bottom side and take a very free structure for it.
As we check in with the top side of the map, Zoom has done well to keep Mouse underneath his turret, constantly harassing him, trying to deny him as much CS as possible early in this match. Clid has still waltzed in towards the red buff here, not going to be able to take it away from Flawless. Still might go for the fight here. Level 6 against level 7, doesn't get the steal. Flawless picks up red buff for himself.
Still very cheeky from Clid, but I feel like Flawless just has a perfect read on him. He has read Clid like a book, knew that he was on the blue buff, went down bottom, helped his team crack open that lane, immediately backed, reset his position, went to red, just face forward into that bush, knew Clid was there. Get off my lawn.
And now it's Rogue Warriors with the lead as they take down the bottom lane out of turret. Clid is going to be denied his aggressive jungle playstyle so far in this match, and they rotate Caitlyn as well as Tahm Kench towards the top lane. Zoom trying to clear out a couple of wards, gets spotted out.
Faster rotation, however, Kog'Maw and Lulu are just 15 seconds out of position, and that might make the difference here, but hold on.
Clid looking to try and snipe off Flawless here. Yagao's right behind him. Let's see if he can jump in with the taunt. Can't. Killua's there to save him.
Good heads-up play by Killua, especially because Doinb had retreated back into the mid lane, and now it's Rogue Warriors doing something very similar that JD did in game number 1. They're dictating the tempo of this game. They're in the driver's seat because they constantly are forcing the waves forward, forcing JD to respond to them and not set up a proactive play with tools like their Galio.
And Mouse has had all the time in the world to push in that bottom lane. He is just underneath the bottom lane in the turret, slowly chipping away at its health. As Loken as well as LvMao underneath this turret here. They do spot out Flawless, was looking to try and wrap around the backside of that turret, but it gives Smlz time to get some good chip damage in the top lane outer.
Okay, and see, this is also then one of the weaknesses from RW. Look at their vision. They had so much vision and clearance, but they suspected that Clid might be near, might be walking up the lane, which he was, but he was much farther down than Flawless probably gave them credit for. So it's the respect of the wild growth, of the fact that barrier, heal, and both flashes are available. If that was JD setting up that type of dive, they would have immediately pulled the trigger, and they probably would have gotten away with it too. But Rogue Warriors, it's that a bit more patience, if you will. But sometimes that lets opportunities slip through your fingers.
Well, let's see if the patience does pay off, because they're taking this one slow and steady. Smlz still gets chances to chip away at the turrets.
He's also got a massive CS lead and a static Shiv already complete.
And again, they have Flawless in their back pocket. LvMao is the only one up here at the moment. Loken is nowhere to be seen. Went back to base, got a quick shop in.
Deep teleport from Zoom. Here we come.
Looking to try and get around the backside of Rogue Warriors' team here. Zoom jumps in, gets a big Mega Gnar, locks down Smlz. Killua, though, still alive. In great health, flashes away from the Kog'Maw ultimate. And the Gangplank ultimate just keeps JD getting locked down for long enough.
So greedy from Smlz to hold his flash like that. Probably didn't think that he would connect with the wall. You saw his spacing. He was just on the very end of that hitbox. But losing that much health bar means that chip damage will fall to the tower. But here comes the TPs, and now counterplay. We're looking for a flank.
Killua getting to backlines. Smlz getting in there as well. Heal used very early for the movement speed, as well as a small heal. Galio going to try and join the fight as well. Jumps in, reduces damage onto Loken, and again, that play is going to fizzle out.
Interesting placement of Smlz on the trap. He was trying to catch Kog'Maw to punish him for orb walking and didn't have the trap available when Galio was coming in for the ultimate. So wasn't able to lock down Yagao and trade a lot of damage, but Doinb does it for him.
Just steps up and says, you know what, I'll fight you underneath your turret with your friends behind you. Doesn't matter, I'm Corki. As Clid also wants to jump into top lane. It's just a party up here for Oscar, and everyone's invited.
Yeah, but things are getting really sloppy and very wild. Now that Yagao is returned here, I don't think they can hold it anyway because the tower is so low, but that means that JD Gaming are going to have to trade their health to make sure that the creeps don't hit the tower, because you can see how confident Smlz is. He just doesn't want to take tower aggro and be threatened by the flash taunt from Galio. But he's going to sit here and just wait for the next wave, and because JD had to trade their health, they now need to back. So it was all for naught. They're going to lose the tower anyway.
But there are 4 teleports on the side of Rogue Warriors. Mouse and Doinb still have theirs up. Smlz and Killua were the ones that used theirs in their fight.
But the big winner is actually Mouse. Check out Gangplank. And the reason why he's the big winner is because since JD spent so much of their time trying to defend a tower, and Mao is actually going to die for it here.
He got stuck underneath a trap that was carefully placed down by Smlz. However, Rogue Warriors don't get it. Double teleports coming in to stop the flank that came out of Kha'Zix.
That was brilliant, and then it wasn't. Why did we teleport here?
That's an old Skara saying. It was good till it wasn't.
It was good until
they were
it
winning
wasn't.
the game until they weren't.
They don't have a great plan. We just double teleported for blue buff and I guess Rift Herald. Got him, boys.
You know that teleport advantage I was talking about for Oscar? Never mind. Doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
It's not there anymore.
So what I was going to say is because JD expended so much time to defend that top lane tower that it actually forced Zoom to shift up into the mid lane. Because while JD were defending top side, Doinb actually was consistently shoving in the mid lane tower and getting free chip damage. So Rogue Warriors were going to get 2 towers for free unless Zoom responded, which meant Mouse was standing in front of no one. He got so much free farm.
So LvMao is the real hero here. Stepped on a trap, baited in the entire Rogue Warriors
That's
teleport
what it
squad.
Was. It was the genius plan. He thought so far ahead. He's like, I bet I can get double teleport out of them to chase Lulu.
Managed to do it. They do break the top lane out of turret as well as pick up Rift Tower for themselves. Smlz returns into the bottom lane with all the top side objectives taken down. And Gangplank, I think Mouse has to be the happiest man alive right now because he's just been sitting and farming. He's making bank.
He's still far behind Zoom, which makes sense because Zoom's grabbing all of these free waves because basically he's on garbage man duty. His team are just chasing Rogue Warriors around the map, just trying to defend everything like goalkeepers, and poor little Zoom just has to like sweep up behind them.
Well, Loken does have a nice item here. Has picked up the Rage Blade. Still has his stopwatch, and you can see how many shields he gets just from Relic Shield as well as Overheal. Then you add LvMao shielding from Lulu on top of that. He becomes a massive Kog'Maw.
And you can already see that Gucci Mao is going for that, not redemption, Ardent Sensor. There we go. It's been so long since I've had to say that filthy word.
What was it? The entirety of Worlds that it was available?
There was a good compilation about how many times we said it.
Oh no.
Ah, the double teleport was worth it. Here it comes.
Rift Herald being used in the mid lane by Flawless, looking to try and break this mid lane out of turret. Loken wants to try and clear out these waves, but Doinb and Smlz deal good damage to these turrets. Ultimate does come out from the Sejuani and whiffs, and look at that! Rift Herald didn't even need to charge.
Yeah, still full health, which means she's going to get a great charge on an inner tower. Almost half health, Sid.
We'll get one final attack before it gets taken down.
Exactly, and now with the pressure mid lane, it does mean that with the trap setup, with control of the tower, that it should be a free dragon, although Cloud Dragon for Sejuani is going to need some help there.
not the best dragon for Rogue Warriors, but they will move down and help out with that Cloud Dragon to pick up another small objective.
You know what my real problem with Cloud Dragon is how much damage it actually does. Like the fact that not only is it possibly the most worthless dragon in terms of the stats that it gets you, but for how long it takes to kill and how much damage it does to you, so you can't really solo it early safely, so you can't even speed up the dragon timer. Like, if Cloud Dragon's gonna suck so much, at least make it really easy to kill.
Oh no. Well, that's the one thing they have for Oscar, and they're just super tanky. But they still pick it up. Rogue Warriors take small advantages, and it's acquired them a nice 3,000 gold lead. This time the Kleptomancy's on their side, and it's not as inflated with Mouse being the one who has been sitting in a lane and farming so far. But Smlz, hello, that's a wild Kha'Zix. He pops his stopwatch. Here comes LvMao to back him up, and they get that kill onto Smlz.
So this is actually a great example of why I really love Kha'Zix from blue side, and it's because of how potent and dangerous he is in enemy red side jungle. Look at the triangle vision setup. The bushes are spaced just perfectly enough that Kha'Zix never breaks stealth as he comes around them. So if you don't have control vision in there, you're never gonna see him coming. And that's pretty much what happened. He did the do-si-do, went all the way around. Surprise, Smlz.
Killua was not able to save. A good crowd control being used by LvMao stopped Killua from eating him up. Was able to deny Smlz from kept alive. However, teleport's coming into this mid lane. Look who it is. It's not the top lane. It's not the mid laner. It's going to be the AD carry again. I'm still not used to seeing this.
Hold on, though.
Doinb again. Repeat from his first package. Just tries to jump on top of Clid. Not going to happen.
Yeah, might as well find the aggression when you can. Key thing, though, is that Sejuani and Kha'Zix are both very close to level 11. Hold on, though.
They try to collapse onto the Zoom. Killua as well as Smlz getting damaged. Trap's being placed down very early. Killua does not get the tongue lash, so can't slow him down.
The real threat there was the fact that Sejuani and Corki were on the red buff. So Killua and Smlz were just the appetizer, if you will. So that flash wasn't necessarily just because of the Caitlyn and the Tahm Kench, but more so the threat that there were 4 people closing in on him bottom.
But they do get the flash out of Zoom, so that's the summoner spell being burnt, which is a good news story for Rogue Warriors.
They're very scattered, though, Rogue Warriors. If you watch them on the mini-map, they are constantly, you know, they just flex down bottom. Now they had to shift back up into the mid lane. They were actually looking top lane. And JDs, despite the fact that they're down in gold, for the last 2 minutes have actually kind of been controlling Rogue Warriors, making them activate, or not activate, but react to what they're doing. And Rogue Warriors are losing or not acting on a lot of the momentum and the power that they have simply because they're kind of chasing JD around.
They do have a 2,000 gold lead to work with, but they have already picked up 3 turrets in this match. If JD pick up any form of a team fight, they could swing this one back around in their favor quite quickly.
But it's still going to be very difficult to pick up a team fight right now. All eyes are on Loken. He only has 1 completed item, so we're looking on that second one for the on-hit build. Of course, Rageblade with Lulu is still going to do a lot of damage, especially because she does have the Ardent Sensor completed despite its nerfs since the Worlds patch. But I would say JD are still going to be quite patient or not as eager for a 5v5 until Loken is a bit stronger.
4 ninja tabbies coming out from JD as well. Makes sense when you have a Gangplank, Corki, and Caitlyn facing across you on the Rift. But again, it's just going to be Loken farming up in the mid lane. Smlz and Killua are sent to deal with that. And Loken's just a happy camper at the moment.
Yeah, no one can crack them unless Killua gets flawless in position, or they maybe make a deep ultimate with Gangplank. How are you ever going to catch that Kog'Maw? So a super similar composition and style that we saw from JD in game number 1. And just like in game number 1, RW were really struggling to force them to make a play.
Doinb is going to get locked down here, or he does not. Valks away just in time. He's able to spot out the gank that was coming out from JDG.
But it should be noted that while it feels like nothing is happening, although we do have skirmishing on the top side, this is actually better for JD because they're the team that want to take it slow right now because they're waiting for Kog'Maw to ramp up.
Putting this pressure onto Doinb means this top lane turret could fall. Yagao threatening with the taunt, but Flawless jumps in, throws out the ultimate, doesn't lock anyone down, and the Gangplank ultimate is going to whiff as well, but they're still committing for this. JDG pins it in. Here comes Mouse, setting up his barrels, gets good damage on the Clid. He should be the first one to fall in this fight. Jumps back in, looks to execute Doinb, but good kill picked up by the Rogue Warriors mid laner. Leaves to 2 for Rogue Warriors.
And finally, things might crack open. The jungler is dead. Maybe they look towards the Baron. Doinb responding or backing to not only heal himself, out, but also so he can respond. Here comes the teleport. He swapped his spells.
It's going to be a 3-on-5 fight if Rogue Warriors take this one. Trap line has been set up by Smlz. Killua takes a lot of damage. Zoom goes Mega looking to jump in, but only throws back Killua. That's not the man he was looking for, and Rogue Warriors pick off a fight. Smlz with good damage. Loken's trying to kite this one out, but it's already 2 being picked up. LvMao as well as Loken split up during that fight, and Rogue Warriors get a couple of kills.
Woo!
So close.
Skin of his chinny chin chin.
But they do get 2 kills there, only losing their support. However, it does stop Rogue Warriors from picking up the Baron.
And that's the big win there, Fish, is the fact that they were able to slow down Hero Zoom. But I do want to point something out. We saw in that fight why Loken isn't quite ready and why Rogue Warriors aren't looking, or excuse me, why JD aren't looking for the big 5v5. Especially because little Kog'Maw and little Lulu got separated during majority of that fight. But Loken is finally making his back, and there we go. Those are the items that we need to see. We should see a completely different shift from JD because they're going to feel much more confident now.
They certainly will. Blitzen has been picked up by Loken as well as his Guinsu's Rage Blade. Still sitting on his Zeal. That should be completed into a Hurricane later on. But those 2 items alone, as well as a level 9 Kog'Maw, is all it takes to dish out massive amounts of damage.
And so now it's the responsibility of who's going to kill the Kog'Maw. And again, this is why I was talking about the Gangplank ban. Like Bard, which we already talked about how Bard can act as a counter to Kog'Maw, GP can also kind of act as a soft answer to Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw wants to remain stationary and really just output as much damage as possible. That's really terrifying to do if a Gangplank ultimate is set right on your head. And this GP has had all of the time in the world to farm. He's almost level 16, sitting level 15, will soon have 3 points in that ultimate. So I feel like Mouse, now is your time to shine because you can make his life a living hell.
They go for a team fight there, and Clid gets obliterated to kick things off, and Doinb delivers the package in the backlines. Loken and Zoom flash after him. They take him down. Jindal Gaming still very low. Loken still looking for this fight. Smlz with the double. Loken's been split up again. He can't fight against Killua on his own. Zoom can go Mega Shotty, but they eat the Kog'Maw, and they will be able to take him down. Another kill picked up, but poor Smlz, can he get away in time? The Kog'Maw pass comes in, but no! Zoom throws the boomerang, gets a return kill for Jindal Gaming, but he's the only one left alive.
And it's best case scenario because it means that the AD carry isn't alive, so they can't immediately turn to the Baron. Now, that said, they are hovering around it. I believe it's just to clear the vision. So even though it was a clearly lost team fight for JD, Hero Zoom again. He got the Gnar ultimate in the first one to deny the first Baron, and by sniping Smlz, he denies the second Baron.
Still big team fight for Rogue Warriors. They snipe off the Kha'Zix. Doinb a little bit too aggressive, but we can take a look at that again.
And like I said, the Gangplank ultimate is a massive problem for Kog'Maw. He doesn't just want to sit into it, so he's standing on the very edge waiting for the shield. And that means that he can only reach certain targets while Rogue Warriors move to the other side of the fight. Then from this point, they've split through the front line. They've done all of the damage. And I don't even know how Loken manages to get gobbled up by Tahm Kench. That should never happen. But it does, and Mouse even cleans up the kill himself.
On top of that, we also had LvMao separated from Loken again during that team fight. He fell very early from the flank that came out from Doinb.
Which then also makes it that much harder for Kog'Maw to be brave and to step forward because he doesn't have the utility or the protection or the Ardent Censer from Lulu.
And he's got both his summoner spells down as well. Rogue Warriors pick up a 4,000 gold lead heading into this second match. 26 minutes into the game. And lots of focus being put on the top side of the map. Mouse's teleport will come back online shortly. Everyone else in Rogue Warriors has swapped out to combat summoner spells as well.
And the big problem right now is that JD's composition are pretty much behind, if not kind of even to itemization, just because of where people spike, particularly where the Kog'Maw spikes versus the Caitlyn, although now that's completely been neutralized. But it's the fact that they don't have a lot of damage on their composition. You know, this isn't the full... you know, straight damage Galio just yet, despite the fact that he does have a good medium of that. Kha'Zix didn't get ahead, so he's just sitting on the Duskblade and Red Spite, and that's about it.
On the flip side, you see the 3-item pickup for Doinb and Smlz with his completed Infinity Edge double Zeal item as well as a Last Whisper. JDG tried to pick him off, but Killua's there to save him. And Gangplank ultimate already used just to create a zoning field, but they do successfully force Rogue Warriors back out.
long as they just walk their dog, they'll be able to do what they want. But if Loken
Hello?
ever falls, if he's ever out of position...
What is this? Flawless and Doinb just decided, you know what? We're going to duo Baron while the rest of the opposition pushes down mid lane.
That is 4 zombie wards and 3 control wards, and they're finally spotted out.
Oh, it's been spotted out, but here comes Killua. They're looking to try and burst him up down. They get it! Picked up by Doinb. Clid a little bit too slow to the punch, and now Rogue Warriors are looking for the retreat. They execute the sneaky Baron. It never fails for Oscar.
Again, JD, take notes. That is how you make a Baron call, and that has been the difference this entire series. When a team and how a team does Baron.
Corki and Sejuani duo the Baron. Killua jumps in for the save at the end of the day as well, and now Rogue Warriors can start to open up the map for themselves.
But that's the thing, we were talking about how JD's composition doesn't have nearly the same damage threats on multiple players as Rogue Warriors' composition does. That Caitlyn, Corki, and Gangplank are all huge, and with a massive tank like Sejuani, that was going to be available in many different combinations.
Actually frightening to watch, and Rogue Warriors continue pushing down these turrets. Caitlyn has bridged that mid game that she is weak at into a strong late game, which is sitting on 6 items at the moment. If you include the Relic Shield, which has been upgraded.
That's the cherry on top, the breaking point.
Give her that nice big shield. But no, has completed her last missile, fully upgraded it to reduce the healing that comes out from Jindong Gaming, which is quite crucial when you're up against a Kog'Maw. But JDG are trying to hold on to this turret. It's fairly low. A couple more attacks will take it down. Doinb steps up to do just that. Only one outer turret is left standing. That's on the top side of the map.
It's still relatively difficult, however, for Rogue Warriors to actually get into that back line. They don't have any dive threats. This is actually a front-to-back composition from both teams. They just want to stand in front of their AD carry and then just force the lawnmower through.
However, flash for flash as Flawless gets caught out. Zoom tried to flash in with the ultimate, but met by Flawless jumping out of the pit. And Doinb's been the one that's on the delivery duty top side of the map. Clid still trying to hunt down Flawless there, but it's Smlz. That's in trouble. He just throws a couple of auto-attacks in. Ace in the hole, not going to work, but still that's scary to watch.
Confidence of Smlz, especially on a fed Caitlyn.
They're forcing a fight. Doinb's got the package. He wants to deliver it to the back lines. Instead, he goes the complete opposite direction and, you know, makes it a little bit anticlimactic, but still, Rogue Warriors are going to continue pushing in.
That was way too ambitious there from Doinb. Galio would have his taunt available. If he went into that team fight, he'd just pretty much instantly die because he'd be grabbed by the CC. So I don't mind him actually taking an ejection from that.
But it still gives him enough damage to push a couple of members back to base, and Rogue Warriors
Blinky
break
teleport.
the base.
Look at Zoom.
Looking to try and get behind. They'll spot this out when it's completed by the ward. So Zoom at half rage, looking to try and go mega. Will have the Gnar ultimate available. Galio trying to jump in, but he just takes so much damage. Yagao with a triple taunt, triple knockup. Gonna look to start this fight. Loken is allowed to deal free damage. Doinb taking a lot. He gets a big shield, but he's in so much trouble. Clid trying to find the executes in the back line. Smlz gets saved by Killua for now, but again, it's another team fight that has to be reset.
And it's who can get through the front line first, and so far it is Loken that is winning this and pushing Rogue Warriors back.
But Clid, he's found Mouse. He pops his stopwatch, lives with a sliver of health. Smlz in so much trouble. Forced to use his heal, but he gets the headshot onto Kha'Zix, and Killua catches him for the save.
Hero play. He doesn't have teleport though, so he'll have to quickly get back into position here, and they're trying to burn down Infernal.
They're trying to take this one as fast as they can. Yagao is here. Doinb's just trying to deal with a couple of jungle monsters. That should be taken down. The rest of them are going to move out of this pit. Zoom hops out. Yagao taking a lot of damage, so Doinb is not going to let him get away that easy. Loken trying to turn this one back around. Flawless in the pit. He has to be careful. That's a flash forward from Loken. And Flawless, he's spotted out. He's taking damage as well. He can't quite find a way to jump in, but Killua will be jumping into the back lines here. Everyone looking for a fight. Smlz's ready to play as well. Gangplank ultimate a separated team. Loken trying to cut this one back. He steps up. He said, let's go.
Loken.
I will fight you, but it's not going to work. Big damage coming out from Loken. It does actually work as Yagao with the hero play flashes in for the taunt. Will take down Smlz, and now it's Zoom trying to chase down the rest of Rogue Warriors who are trying to run away. JDG step up and they win a team fight.
For all the times that Doinb has carried for Loken, for all of the times that he has turned and said, it's okay, I've got this, Loken finally plants his feet. Today, he proves me wrong. He went from secondary to main character, and he deserves the priority Kog'Maw pick. Look at this. This guy, Gangplank ultimate comes down. There's no way you're getting around that. You need to be brave. He turns it on at the right moment.
Gets so much damage, and at the last moment, Yagao flashing in to get the taunt, denying Killua for the save, denying Smlz finding a way out. Loken with the big play brings the score back 7 to 8, but it's still a 5,500 gold lead for Rogue Warriors.
And picking up that much, this is now a 5-1-1 Kog'Maw. Loken can be the difference here. He is starting to get farther and farther ahead, and when it comes down to hyper carries, when it comes down to shredding that front line, Kog'Maw is going to win that arms race.
They just have to find a way to lock him down, but it's so difficult with the QSS, with the summoners, with the protection that he has from LvMao as well as Yagao in this game. However, Caitlyn getting stronger and stronger as well, picked up another BF sword that could be either a Bloodthirst or potentially a QSS, which she should have against the taunts that are coming out from the Galio. But Rogue Warriors still in the driver's seat. They were able to break the base against Jindong Gaming. They're going to be able to take down the final turret that's outside of JDG's base in the top lane.
Slowing the game down, recognizing that just running into these 3v3s, these 4v4s, these 5v5s isn't working for them, so they're going back to their siege.
Baron comes up in a minute 20 as well.
So the big key here is all eyes are still on Mouse. It's not just placing the Gangplank ultimate to deny or zone away Loken or control the Kog'Maw's pathing in a team fight. It's also making sure that you can show up early to an objective, deny vision, and start finding that sneaky barrel. That's what they need. They need a flanking barrel underneath Loken to just blow him up.
He's got the items to do it. 5 items complete for the Gangplank. Still just sitting on that corrupting potion at the end. He'll have to sell that sooner or later.
Also means that they need to be much more cautious about playing around that W cooldown. One of the big differences is always going to be the range. Naturally, when Bioarcane Barrage is up for Kog'Maw, he can sit wherever he wants and put out a lot of that damage. Rogue Warriors need to recognize this. You have the Caitlyn. She's always going to have longer range because she doesn't need to rely on the W. Play around that window a bit better. They just keep kind of crashing heads like rams and running into Arcane Barrage, and their front line is falling faster than JD's in these 5v5s.
Doinb was sent on package duty to split down into the bottom lane and draw the attention of Zoom. Whereas the rest of JDG are going to use this time to clear out a couple of wards and place down some of their own in the Baron pit.
And again, it's so important, not just because obviously you want wards on Baron, but you need to make sure that Gangplank doesn't get in here first.
Oh no, Doinb's been spotted out here, so they know exactly what he's trying to do, but the rest of Rogue Warriors try to push through mid lane. This Galio has a Rabadon's Death Cap and a Liandry's Torment, so he's a scary front line at the moment.
Yeah, finally we have multiple damage threats as the itemization has come online. And like you said, Yagao is a scary damage threat. He's also a terrifying Galio. He's probably the best Galio player that we have in the league right now in terms of just how flawless and seamless he is on the mechanics of the champion.
Final bits of items being picked up by Rogue Warriors. We'll see the Hex Drinker coming out for Doinb, probably going to the more Malmodius later on. Works well against Kog'Maw as well as Galio, but a Bloodthirst to pick up for Smlz, so he doesn't have Cleanse, doesn't have a way to get out of this crowd control. Ooh, that's a big crit.
But other key difference in terms of, not having summoner spells is also itemization of the supports. Hold on, though.
That barrel means we're going to go for a team fight. Smlz gets good damage on the Loken and the puppy. He's still alive. Will get taken out by Flawless. That's all the damage they need. And Rogue Warriors will continue pushing through. Exhaust goes on to Zoom. Smlz moves forward. They pick off the Kog'Maw and the mid laner.
And I understand that it's Flawless that walks away with the kill, but that was massive from Mouse. He set a perfect GP ultimate, tracked the Kog'Maw, nailed with the barrel, and the rest of the team cleaned it up for him.
Ace in the hole even coming out from Smlz to push Clid back further. Rogue Warriors attacking on two fronts. Top lane inhibitor turret is going to fall. Mid lane inhibitor is open as well. They might just try and push for the win here.
It is absolutely over. You have too many damage threats, and Zoom is nowhere near Mega.
Loken tried his hardest, but Mouse comes up big as they push towards the second Nexus turret. Rogue Warriors are trying to propel themselves to second place in their conference, and they will with a victory over Jindong Gaming.
And the age-old question is answered. Who upgraded? Who got the better team? And we saw it for a split second there. Doinb erupted from his seat. That is an in-zone dance if I've ever seen one.
Right beside him is AD carry. Absolutely no expression whatsoever. But Doinb, he is ecstatic. Whereas Jindong Gaming, they're off to a great start. That was their final match before they go into cross-conference. And they'll be sitting at third on the table for now. Rogue Warriors sitting at second place, replacing them on the ladder.
And so many times, Doinb has been denied his revenge. So many times, QG would fall to newbie. He was never able to take down Swift. But today, and with good cheer, smiles, and hugs, the revenge team actually find their revenge, and Doinb gets to say confidently, I made the upgrade.
Lots of hugs, lots of high fives. It's still going to be Rogue Warriors that pick up the win here today, and rightfully so. Especially after Mouse having 2 big performances in games 1 and 2, playing out of his mind. And that is a happy man if I've ever seen one, Frostgren.
Still a lot of holes to fix. I agree. Mouse, you're a phenomenal Gangplank player, but how many LPL teams are going to consistently make this mistake and give you the Gangplank?
It's for the side of Jingdong Gaming. They looked like they had the right pieces to the puzzle, Frostgren. They pulled out the interesting Yorick pick, didn't work for them. Game number 2, they relied on Loken and Yagao. That didn't work out for them either. But they were so close both times to finding a way to fight against Rogue Warriors.
And unfortunately, it came down to mismanaged macro calls, particularly 2 questionable Barons that just bit JD in the ass. They had the driver's seat for both of those games in the early game, locked down Flawless, forced him off his Lee Sin. Clid had the read on him. But Rogue Warriors, their experience, their patience was able to prevail.
And we talked about the carries quite a bit during this series. We talked about them so much. Doinb, Smlz, Loken, even Yagao in the mid lane, as well as Mouse in the double Gangplank games. But we haven't touched too much on Flawless, who saved game number 1. Had back-to-back Sejuani games after being knocked off of his Lee Sin pick coming in from the ban phase of JDG, and still performed well in the jungle, showing, you know, I'm not just a one-trick.
Yeah,
play whatever you need.
First time playing Sejuani this entire split, actually. He'd played exclusively dueling champions in Italy, the Kha'Zix, the Jarvans, the Lee Sins. And like you said, gets to take out the Sejuani. Still that flawless flare, had the press the attack keystone. Still went for the skirmishing, but the big thing was that he was able to recover from being put down in both early games.
Well, Clement doesn't get both of his questions answered, but Clid does lose his first match on Kha'Zix to Flawless. Fortunately, we don't get to see the huge Lee Sin against Kha'Zix matchup, but still a massive victory for Rogue Warriors, and really looking like they're trying to gel together. Still have some problems, as you mentioned, but they really are trying to gel things together now.
My only concern is that I feel that they are incredibly dependent on very limited champion pools. If we force, Doinb off of these supportive mages, if we force Flawless even further out of his comfort zone in the jungle position, or even Mouse up on the top side, denying him that Gangplank, are Rogue Warriors still the powerful team that we saw today in this series? Because they've been very wildly inconsistent so far.
On top of that, they're going to end the first round of the group stages 4-2. Both of them kind of tied up at 4-2 at the moment, but it will be Rogue Warriors that have the head-to-head against Jingdong Gaming, who have been knocked down to 3rd. For now, though, let's send it back to the analyst desk to break down that series.
Yeah! Thank you so much, Fish. We're dancing over here. Clement. Yes!
This is my Doinb impression.
Good win. Good win, Doinb. Able to pull it together and take the win over there. But hey, it's Rogue Warriors. They're able to close out the series 2-0.
Yeah.
And Doinb absolutely ecstatic at the end of that to defeat his former team.
Such a statement game coming out from Doinb. Now, I feel like we have to calm down a little bit, talk over the draft a little bit, because it's on screen right now.
It is, yes.
So what Rogue Warriors really wanted here is, I feel like they had the hyper-scaling comp. They had 3 damage positions, and a Kog'Maw without lethal tempo in the late game is not necessarily a better damage threat than the Caitlyn. So what Rogue Warriors really wanted is to hold that top lane, hold that bottom lane, and get to that hyper late game where they could really trash things for Jingdong. And I think the MVP for me in this game has to go to Flawless. His early jungle pathing was so good. On the red side, he cleared out his top 3 camps and then anticipated the invade coming in from Kha'Zix and just traded the Raptors.
So let's go ahead and keep our focus on the draft for now. We'll get to the MVP in just a little bit of a moment, because Jingdong, like you said, they came into this knowing, hey, we're going to play the Kog'Maw. And there was one thing that you kept saying over and over, immediately after the Kog'Maw, time and time again, it was bubbling out of you like a boiling cauldron, and that was Galio. Every single next pick, you're like, okay, they're going to pick Galio here. Okay, they're going to pick Galio here. No, the enemy team should take Galio now that Galio's not here anymore. And it goes to the very last pick for Jingdong, and Rogue Warriors didn't seem to want it.
And this is the great thing about Doinb. So far, they are the only LPL team to win all of their red side games. all 5 of them. And the key to it has been Doinb getting his counter picks. So he wasn't picking up the Galio, wasn't going for the fast push shell because he had something in his back pocket. And that answer was the Galio. Now in lane, I felt Yagao actually played it very well, but if you go to the hyper late game, Corki is a very good answer into the Kog'Maw type of composition. He does a lot of damage, and that Kog'Maw is going to be sitting at the front of the composition where it's very easy to poke him down.
And here you can see Doinb coming in with that huge flank, destroys Clid, and then forces Loken and Zoom to deal with him while the rest of his team deals with Yagao in the back.
Yeah, goes a little bit too far forward, and this is just, I have to say this again, but it is a lot about the compositions right now, because what Jingdong wants to do, like the Clid Kha'Zix is not a team fight pick.
Yeah.
That's a snowball the early game pick with the Galio. And what happened was Flawless was able to completely avoid any early team game fight. And when it came to the 5v5 team fight, I don't think there was a moment where you really felt Jingdong was in control. Even though they had the Galio, they had the Kog'Maw, you look at the number of damage threats coming out from Rogue Warriors, you look, they have a much better team fighting jungler. There wasn't really a chance for Jingdong to win the team fights, and they weren't able to snowball because of Flawless.
Well, on the other hand, the other person who you had to pair with that Corki was Smlz in the bottom lane, playing the Caitlyn. He sees the Kog'Maw, and immediately he's like, you know what? I can beat that in lane.
43% of his team's damage. And this is why, I feel like this is why Doinb is a better fit with Smlz, because Smlz is that hyper carry. He's much more known for that compared to Loken. And if you give him the resources, you give him the tools, he can carry you. He can put it on his shoulders and really bring you to the top. And this is someone that Doinb has been looking for.
Of course, that being said, we did get to see some excellent play from Loken as well. We have to commend the fact that he finally seemed to have stepped up. He found his fire and single-handedly almost tried to turn several of these team fights. It was so close, but in the end, it was that fire that burned him in that last fight.
I did wonder, like, what his KDA is looking like right now. He did die a couple of times, and Doinb really was looking out for him. We can see that bot lane just going in there with the package. You know, he wanted Loken dead.
Yeah, there was a really big hug from the two at the end as they shook hands as well. We've actually got to take a quick break, but ladies and gentlemen, please do not go anywhere, because we have got an interview with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Doinb, coming onto our stream to share a few words. Don't go anywhere.